Stop making these mistakes with your Samsung camera right now. Let's go. In my infinite number of years sort of covering Samsung and utilizing Samsung cameras in particular, I see a lot of people making a lot of mistakes. Some of them a little bit more obvious than others, some a little bit more niche. These ones I would put maybe into the niche category. Let's go through them. The first one, and it may be a little bit controversial, stop using the 1x camera to take your photos. Allow me to explain. So the 1x camera is sensational. It's the best lens on Samsung's phone and probably the best lens on any of smartphones that you can get. But the problem with using it all the time is that you're not actually getting the best composition of your photo. Allow me to kind of explain with this photo I got down at the beach the other day. So using the 1x camera, you kind of get actually not the best version of the photo, because it gets things on either side of the photo that actually don't look very good. Using the 2x camera, you're able to punch in past that and actually eliminate all of those distractions, get a nice clean aesthetic. But it's not the only situation that you might think that could be useful. For example, if you're out on holiday and you see a nice photo and you've got something in the foreground and something in the background, the 1x camera might give you again the nice wide angle shot, but it doesn't give you that drama. So punching into 2x actually creates that kind of background separation and gives you that really nice aesthetic of a sort of softly blurred background and a nice in focus foreground. And it's not just photos that I would say this would be good for, also videos. Using the 2x in videos, or even going up to things like the 5x camera, can give you that dramatic sort of look for your videos and photos that you're chasing. So I would say don't just stick to the 1x camera, because utilizing what else is out there on the phone might give you the better result that you're looking for. That also extends out into portrait photos, because with the 1x camera with portraits, it doesn't give you that drama, that sort of impact that you might be looking for. Sometimes the best thing to do is, rather than walking in manually and using the 1x camera, take a step back and use either the 2 or the 5x to punch into the subject, and that'll actually create that nice little dramatic depth of field that you're looking for. So for both landscape photos and for portrait mode photos, I would say either use the 2x or the 5x. You won't regret it. Another mistake I see a lot of people making is they don't adjust their exposure when they're recording video. When you're taking a photo, smartphone and computational photographies and algorithms are so good now that it'll actually help automatically process high contrast scenes. So what I mean by adjusting exposure is, if you're taking a photo with a high backdrop and high brightness backlight behind you, sometimes it won't automatically adjust and you just get this blown out photo. But with smartphones now, like I said, photography, it's kind of got it down pat. You don't really need to adjust exposure anymore. Videos, different story. Because with photos, it can post-process and sort of multi-stacks frames together. Videos don't have that luxury. They've got to process on the fly. And sometimes that level of dynamic range that it's got to try and process is just too much for a phone to handle. So to help it and identify it, you actually have to manually adjust it. There's 2 ways on a Samsung phone that you can do this. The first is you can just tap on the area that you want it to sort of adjust, and then adjust the slider and then lock it. This works great, especially if you want to adjust high contrast scenes where the backlight is behind and then you've got the subject in front. It might though lose focus on the front, but it generally won't. So it's not too bad to do this. This will just help eliminate that sort of high contrast blown out video and allow you to control it a little bit better. So you can kind of see everything with a little bit more detail. It's not just this big bright mess. Another way to do it is Samsung have built in a just big adjustment slider at the bottom in the menu. So rather than needing to tap to focus on an area and then adjust the exposure, you can adjust the exposure of the whole scene. This is good in particular if you're in a low light environment, like a concert, or like, for example, the cruise that I went on, the Christmas show or the show that we're watching. You want to be able to capture that in detail as well. With all the bright lights and the darkness in the room that you're in, you kind of need to adjust and capture it properly. So this is where using the exposure slider for the whole scene comes in handy. So you can tap the 4 dots, hit the exposure slider, and adjust it so it captures the contrast and the lighting in the best possible way. Both ways are pretty interchangeable. So depending on your scenario, one might work better than the other, but they're both there as an option, and you need to utilize either one in those high contrast scenes so you can capture the best version of that scene that you can. A lot of these camera mistakes are usually made whilst you're out traveling the world. Another mistake I've made myself is using the wrong travel sim. I have traveled a lot in my time. The Philippines, Singapore, Korea, England, Italy, Portugal, and the US. And the one thing I always struggle with is choosing the right travel sim. Well, Nomad has just taken that stress out of the equation. When you download their app, you simply pick a plan from the plans available, and if you pick the right one, you get instant coverage to over 200 destinations straight away. Last year, I went to America for Galaxy Unpacked for the Galaxy S25 series. And the thing that I found when I landed was there was an instant stress in needing to make sure I stayed connected with my family back home, which meant I needed to quickly rush and pick a travel sim, which I ended up picking the wrong option. But now that I have Nomad, that will never be a problem for me again. The reason why they're so reliable is their coverage across the 200 destinations they have available is seamless. So if you travel from one country to the next, you've got no interruption to your service whatsoever. You don't want to be stuck in a tourist area trying to find the nearest McDonald's to get your kids an ice cream. So you need data that's going to be reliable so you can get there and everyone has a great time with their ice creams. Yummy. Another part is the setup. After you've downloaded it from the App Store, you simply pick your plan, process it, and then it gives you the QR code, which you simply scan using your phone, and then it installs it straight away. No fuss and done in minutes. And they also have flexibility with their plans on offer. You got plans for long trips, short trips, and even regional plans available. Nomad lets me experience stress-free travel. Now it's time for you to experience it. All you need to do is download the app to your phone and use the code in the description to get 20% off right now. You see the world and let Nomad keep you connected with the rest of it. Thank you to Nomad for sponsoring this video. The next mistake I see a lot of people making, and this is not really so much a photos thing, but it's part of the gallery, is they'll screenshot a clip from a video instead of actually using the tool that's there. Let me tell you why you shouldn't screenshot. If you're just watching your video that you've recorded and you want to send a frame of that to someone, so many people just screenshot it and then send it off, not realizing they've completely butchered the quality because it's not going to actually capture it in its full native resolution. It'll give you a couple megapixels of resolution, and it's going to also have the borders because the phone isn't optimized for the aspect ratio of the video. It's just not going to look very good. Samsung have built something in that actually will capture the still at the resolution of the video. So if you were going through a video and you notice a really nice frame that you wanted to capture, there's a literal toggle capture button in the video player that will extract that frame at the full resolution it was captured in. So for 4K video, that's 8 megapixels. Not the highest, but certainly better than the 2 or 3 that a screenshot captures in. For 8K video, which I don't film in a lot, but it's there, you'll get a 33 megapixel still from it. So especially if you're filming landscapes in 8K, that's going to give you a really crisp detail. Alternatively, you can plug the video into Galaxy Enhance X, and you can use the single take function, and that'll extract stills and frames and even little clips for your video that you might want to then turn into an album. This actually, I'll throw this out there too, is built into just the photo. So if you take a 200 megapixel photo, for example, and you want to isolate a section of that photo, when you zoom in the gallery, rather than taking a screenshot because you're going to lose all that resolution, use the toggle and it'll screenshot it in the resolution that it's cropped to. Much better. And the last one, it's a silly little tip, but I'm just going to throw it out there. A lot of people tend to launch the camera just by finding the camera app on their phone or having it on their home screen or on a toggle on the lock screen. And that just wastes so much time for them to actually launch the camera and take a photo. Samsung have built in a solution for this for years now, and it's called Quick Launch. It used to be double press of the home button, but obviously the home button isn't there anymore, so you can't use that. Whereas now you can double press the power button and it'll quickly launch into the camera no matter the screen you're on. So you could be in an app, you could be on the home screen, the screen could be locked, doesn't matter. Double press that power button, it goes straight to the camera, ready to take a photo or a video. If you're in the camera, a double press of that button will switch it to the selfie camera. So you've got plenty of options with that button, but Quick Launch, absolutely. Turn that on. It's in the settings of the power button, or the side button it's called, double press, quick launch the camera. Easy. So they are just some mistakes that I see people making and some ways to make it better. So if you liked any of these, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits whilst you're down there. Big year of content planned. You won't want to miss it. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Just wanted to tack at the end here a massive thank you for 100,000 subscribers. Couldn't have done it without every single one of you who have watched, liked, commented, subscribed, not subscribed. Doesn't matter. If you've interacted with any of my content over the last 3 years, thank you. And here's to the next 100,000. Yo!